So I went to go see Insurgent. It stars Shailene Woodley and Theo James, and it's directed by, and I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Robert Schwentke. Previously he's brought us films like Red, R.I.P.D., and The Time Traveler's Wife. Now my initial reaction to this film, just stepping right out of the theater, was kind of positively neutral. Right? I enjoyed it well enough. Shailene Woodley's performance was fantastic. The action scenes were adequate and decently shot. Visuals, it looked good. The CGI was a little bit shoddy at times, but for the most part it was pretty decent. And, you know, the only real issues I had initially were pacing issues, and the script seemed a little bit light, like maybe it could have used a little bit of work. But then I ran into some folks I knew who'd read the book, and they were having that initial, well, that's not how it happened in the book sort of discussion. And then as I drove home, more and more issues with the film sort of started to crop up as I was thinking about it. And then I got home and I looked at IMDb to see who was, behind everything, and one of the writers stood out to me. It was Akiva Goldsman, and how the hell does that man keep on getting work? He has ruined so many adaptations. I can't even... all the problems with the movie that were cropping up suddenly became so much more clear. Okay, Akiva Goldsman did write one good screenplay, but that was really more an actor's performance lifting up a mediocre screenplay than it was anything else. I mean, one good screenplay doesn't make up for the rest of this stuff. I mean, he wrote the two really horrible Batman movies, and Lost in Space. I mean, what you have here is another case of really solid acting performances compensating for really poor screenwriting. If it weren't for the actors sort of putting their heart into it, you'd get no sense of these people. They're just there, and they move from scene to scene, but everything is glossed over. You don't go into depth with any of them. You don't really get a feel for them. They're just sort of there and in action scenes, and they say a couple lines, but it doesn't tell you anything about their characters at all. The first movie was actually pretty decent for that, even though a lot of the characters were very one-note, but still you got a sense of their personality. Here they're just bland and dull for the most part, outside of the emotion that the actors give them. And that's not really cool. And then on top of that, the pacing is horrible. Things are either, very drawn out, or they just happen so quickly that you don't really get a sense for time or the impact the events are having on people. It's just, yeah. And then on top of that, from as I said, what I could gather from my friends, horrible adaptation of some really emotional, important events in the book. They just were dropped or changed or just not altered for the better in the slightest. It just... the guy can't adapt a book to save his life. It's really unfortunate. Beautiful mind aside, but as I said, I don't really think that's him. I think that's the performance and the direction overcompensating for his kinda screenplay. But yeah, just... yeah. So in the end, yeah, I don't really know that anyone needs to go see this movie. If you're a fan of the novels, then you're going to be disappointed with the adaptation, apparently, because that seems to be the running thread that I can find. If you're a fan of the first movie, and you just kind of want to see a sequel that's a decent action movie, I guess you'd be okay, but the action's better, the performances are actually better, but the script just doesn't back it up. Neither does the direction, really. The direction's fine, but it's not as good as it was in the first film, even. It just... you don't need to see this movie in theaters, folks. It's not horrible, it's light, fluffy, stupid, brainless action film, but that's about it, unfortunately. Anywho, until next time, folks, enjoy film.
I love this scene. This just looks so bloody cool. Look at that. Look at that. That's just